Welcome to Around the Peninsula. I'm Senior Airman Cristiano Scott. Military training prepares soldiers for any combat situation. But what happens when training becomes real life? Senior Airman James Bueller takes us to the scene where the story is told.
And it was all supposed to be training. And then it wasn't training anymore. It got very real very quickly.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation delivered by the 2nd Infantry Division Chaplain, Lieutenant Colonel Lee.
U.S. soldiers in 2nd Infantry Division gathered at Camp Casey to honor the bravery of their fellow soldiers.
Please be seated.
And these soldiers' performance was, in a word, awesome. And in a phrase, second to none.
8 soldiers from the 2nd Infantry Division sprang into action when an aircraft went down. At that moment, training turned into a real-life rescue mission.
Captain Sheehan, through the unofficial word that we got that a helicopter had crashed, he sprung into action. The aircraft was at fly, ready to take off, and still decisions were being made to put water coolers, equipment, additional medical supplies in the helicopter.
During the emergency, their experience saved the day.
They knew exactly what to do. They fell back on their training, and they demonstrated consistently throughout that mission. Even though it was only a short, compact time, everyone that I was a part of that are sitting in these chairs today, they demonstrated that flawlessly, and I couldn't be more proud of my crew that day.
From training to real life, these soldiers acted on their instincts and saved the lives of 9 Marines. For their heroic actions, these 8 soldiers received a little, but big honor. Senior Airman James Bueller, Camp Casey, Korea.
Cobra Gold is the largest joint multinational military exercise in Asia. A rare Korean gem reclaims its place in nature. Army Sergeant Rick Bush tells us how DPW plays a vital role in transplanting a willow forest.
The sun rises above the hills and filters through the trees as a secluded grove of Korean king willow trees await their spring debut. This is not your ordinary king willow forest. The willow trees will soon find life in another area.
What we're doing today is continuing something we started last year, where we had a collaboration started with the range personnel here from Camp Carroll, and here at Masan we're transplanting a very rare willow species. It's the Korea king willow. Apparently not too many of them left around the peninsula, so we want to spread them to other areas, in particular area 4 where they're protected.
Mr. Kunicki studies the branches of king willows in between their 1st and 2nd year of growth to determine where to separate the branch from the tree. The branch is then pruned to encourage regeneration and allow the cutting to sprout.
Willow that has a lot of old branches and a lot of new branches, so I'm figuring I'm going to find something good in here that I like, and I like what I see already. I've got a branch here, a 3-year-old branch that has a lot of shoots. As the trees grow out laterally, the branches will tend to shoot other branches up vertically just to balance things out, and that's what's happening right here with all these nice shoots.
Mr. Kunicki will soak the cuttings in water for 1 week, then transplant the new king willows to Camp Carroll's wetlands. Army Sergeant Rick Bush, Masan, Korea.
The king willow cuttings have a 75% successful regrowth rate. The only people children spend more time with than their parents are their teachers. Army Sergeant Kelly Anderson introduces us to one teacher who has truly made a difference.
So gingerbread is definitely a sparkle word. It's a special word.
And I opened that up and I just cried, like thinking, wow, me, like that parent, picked that out in me.
This Casey Elementary School first grade teacher cried tears of joy and surprise as she opened a letter last year from one of her students' parents, nominating her as the Teacher of the Year for 2013. And to her surprise, she won.
It's cool. It's an honor that I probably would have never ever envisioned myself sitting here across from you talking about being Teacher of the Year.
This 33-year-old military spouse and teacher of 10 years from Iowa won this recognition by dedicating her career to the military children of Area 1's Casey Elementary School.
Think about your prediction, boys and girls.
But the whole thing is, as a teacher, we need to take time to utilize our expertise and what is out there to make lessons that are going to be memorable for these kids. I spend a lot of time just analyzing my students and getting to know them. And not just the students, but the families as well. Because when we think about families, a family is a child's first teacher.
He opened it up to the page that said...
And I come to school every day and I just cherish what I get to do. Because these kids, they have a lot of stress in their lives that normal kids do not have. They have a lot of worries. They don't know when mom and dad are going to be in the field, when mom and dad are deployed. And it's just providing them that little extra love and attention and care when they are here at school. Kids need connections. They need to know that an adult believes in them and cares about them. And for these kids, it's not just the adults that are at home with them, but it's also the people that they encounter every day, which is their teachers.
Her dedication to her students and continuous efforts at involving the parents in the learning process is just part of a long list of reasons why the Korean School District chose her as the Teacher of the Year. Army Sergeant Kelly Anderson, Camp Casey, Korea.
Even after 10 years of teaching, Mrs. Stockdale still goes to work with a smile. One soldier's love for flying earned him a seat up in the air. Senior Airman James Bueller lands at Beeson Communications Site to hear about a pilot's best friend.
High speed.
He's one of our star crew chiefs.
Quick on his feet.
And what is the importance of this?
As the main rotor head, it holds the helicopter up.
Allows one man to enjoy his job.
Well, in my opinion, I think I got probably one of the best jobs in the Army. We get to wake up every day going in knowing that we're probably going to fly an awesome platform to some really cool places.
The only way to get to some of these cool places relies heavily on one sharp person.
All right. First, just give me your first name, last name, and spell it for me, please.
Spell it.
The crew chiefs have probably the hardest job in aviation for all platforms. When our job is pretty simple. We show up, we do our planning, we get in the aircraft, we go fly, and then our duty day pretty much ends then. The crew chiefs show up before we do. They do all the maintenance. They typically go fly with us, and then once we hit the ground and we head out the door, they have to stay around and make sure they put the aircraft away and it's mission ready for the next day. So they put in a lot of long hours. They do a lot of hard work, and it's really a tough job for them, and I have nothing but the greatest respect for them.
I wanted to deal in aviation. So, I love to fly.
I've only known him for a few months. I've only been on the ground here for about 4 months and some change. So I'm still working my way into the company, but for the most part, from what I've seen, star player.
Senior Airman James Bueller, Beeson Communications Site, Korea.
Private Borchardt has been working as a crew chief for about 8 months. Knowing the fundamentals of first aid is essential for combat. Army Sergeant Ton Pham takes us to Camp Stanley, where soldiers learn to save animals on the battlefield.
This isn't your typical first aid or casualty evacuation. Soldiers from the 106th Medical Detachment train with dog handlers on Camp Stanley to provide care for a military working dog. Luckily, this is only a training scenario with a stuffed animal, but if it was real world,
I would have gone with the dog all the way, to the treatment down in Yongsan all the way through.
To Sergeant Edgar Lauer, his partner Gino is like family.
You have to be attached to the dogs. I mean, you're working as a team, so if you're not getting close with a dog, you're not going to work very well together.
And that bond combined with first aid skills makes Private First Class Heidi Rose's job as an animal care specialist much easier.
They're more accessible to the dog when the injury happens, and they can get it done quicker because a lot of the injuries need to be treated quickly and effectively, and we're not always there. So they're our first line to treating them.
Shake well to dissolve, withdraw entire contents.
Dog handlers must learn basic animal care skills like treating burns, broken bones, and infections. But at the end of the day, Sergeant Lauer still says,
I love the job just because it's a lot of fun. It's not monotonous. I mean, you're going out, you're doing something new every day. Best job in the Army.
After 8 to 12 years of military service, Gino will retire. But until then, he remains a vital asset to the military. Army Sergeant Ton Pham, Camp Stanley, Korea.
Military working dogs are initially trained at Lackland Air Force Base. That was your Around the Peninsula for Thursday, March 28th. From all of us at AFN, enjoy your evening.
The USFK is looking for U.S. families to host Korean students participating in the USFK Good Neighbor English Camp. For more information, call 723-4686.